to be fine if I knew what it was. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the Fun Show here at Big TV. Once again, we are bereft of our companion, Susan Harrington, who wasn't able to be with us tonight. Michael is over there trying to find a tune, and what seems to be coming out is Ho Ho Ho, welcome to Christmas in July. This is the July 24th edition of the Fun Show, and we just thought it would be interesting to give you a chilling reminder of Christmas.
I wish you a happy summer. Okay.
Remember Summertime by Jay and the Jamies?
Okay.
Like 1954.
All right. Now, I like Scaramucci. Do you like Scaramucci?
Scaramouche.
Scaramouche.
I call him Scaramouche.
Yeah, you think he...
Scaramouche is in.
Was he
Ladies
for
and gentlemen, the Trump administration is essentially 6 months old. And throwing
getting better every hour.
Throwing a temper tantrum.
Very good.
A world-class temper tantrum. Sean Spicer is out.
Out.
Anthony Scaramucci,
Mooch.
now called Scaramouche.
Mooch.
Scaramouche
Mooch.
is in. And yet, even though he's only been in for, 30 hours or something at this point,
Yeah.
it is now being said that he's going to replace Rance Priebus as chief of staff.
And Huckabee Sanders is in there, too.
Another great,
Sarah.
what do we call it?
Press.
Patronage.
Yeah,
Not patronage.
Yeah. They wanted to do something for Huckabee.
What is it when you employ your children? What's it called?
Yeah, I know the word.
Anyway,
It's
that in most businesses is illegal, or at least banned in the business. But anyway, so just to demonstrate how Reich Chancellor Trump's administration is falling apart after 6 months.
The heck you say?
He now appears to be getting ready to fire Jeff Sessions. This man, Trump, is so delusionary that he somehow thinks that if Jeff Sessions hadn't recused himself, there wouldn't be a special counsel investigating him here. The whole Russian thing would have gone away if only he didn't recuse himself. And if he told me he was going to recuse himself, I'd have hired somebody else. The only problem with that, Donald, is that the thing he recused himself over hadn't happened yet. He would have had to get in his DeLorean and drive 88 miles an hour and go back in time.
But Sessions still likes President Trump. He still thinks he's terrific.
Actually, he seems to be toning that down quite a bit. Anyway, so he has a great idea as to who to replace Sessions with. Rudy Giuliani.
Ah, there's a man.
And as bad as Sessions is, because he is clearly one of the most racist senators to ever sit in the United States Senate.
He does seem a little right on the right there, you know.
Rudy Giuliani is clearly much worse because Rudy Giuliani is batshit crazy.
Well, that's...
He's absolutely nuts. I ask you to remember
But
all the things.
Look at all these foreign rulers that give him contracts. He gives legal aid to every Qatar and everybody. You know,
he has been bought off by all kinds of foreign
Arab
things. He was involved in the campaign. He any number of things. He makes money. It is highly unlikely that he can get 50 votes to be confirmed. I really look forward to Trump firing his attorney general and then finding he can't get his replacement approved, which will be interesting.
It would be.
And while we're at it, the latest news, hot off the presses, is that Rex Tillerson is on the verge of quitting. Rex Tillerson is quitting, and it has nothing... I must give him credit. It has nothing to do with personal ambition.
Exxon
he just
is
can't
suing
stand the White House anymore.
Exxon is suing the White House.
Really?
It's not the White House, the government, yeah. over
Well-
a lousy $3 million after they spent billions down there in the Gulf.
That
Exxon.
wasn't Exxon.
Why not?
Exxon was the Valdez in Alaska.
Oh. All right, they spent billions up there.
It was British Petroleum
BP.
who
Okay.
screwed up the Gulf.
Okay, there you are. Now, that's a good piece of
You got to
information.
keep your criminal oil polluters straight.
Well, the only outfit that everybody seems to be afraid of over there in Congress is the Congressional Budget Office. Now, there's an outfit. They got some steel in their backbones.
Well, I mean, they have taken their normal course in the Trump administration, and now they're attacking the veracity of the Congressional Budget Office,
But that's good.
Well, they attack everybody, and here's the problem. Here's one of the things.
And the ethics office, too.
Yeah, this is one of the things that, in fact, gives Trump what little power he still has, and that is that everybody knows that he is a vindictive SOB. And even after he's removed, if he's not jailed, and he probably won't be put in prison, but once he's removed from office, he's going to dedicate himself to getting revenge on everybody.
Well,
He's already recruiting people to run against the Republican incumbent senator from Arizona who's up for election. And why? The guy has voted with him 94% of the time, but he didn't endorse him in the election.
I know. I still like Blagojevich, who was the governor of Illinois. He would be good with Trump.
Because you're still trying to learn how to say his name.
Yeah.
That's why.
And LePage from Maine. Why doesn't why
yes.
don't we hear more about LePage? He's always saying terrible things about everybody.
What is this? You want everyone in America to be sick? What is this?
Well, I mean, we got some wonderful people there on the right.
We don't
the
want
Republicans. They are doing great things.
We don't want to hear Blagojevich as well. We don't want to hear LePage's name because he's still out there screwing things up.
He could be in Las Vegas doing stand-up comedy.
But speaking of disappearing Republicans, you actually found an article that mentioned the name Rick Perry.
I did.
Rick Perry.
Right.
This is amazing. Rick Perry is the Secretary of Energy, and which actually puts him in charge of America's nuclear stockpile.
Right.
I mean, it's not just oil and gas, but it's the nuclear stockpile. And it occurred to me, we haven't heard his name since he was appointed.
I haven't heard much, no.
And then we've got that ridiculous Pease, Secretary of the Environmental Protection Agency,
Very good.
who I don't understand how he can be secretary of an agency
And suing
that
his
he's
own
the
agent.
principal litigator on 18 suits against them.
Right.
That makes no sense to me. But there again, nothing
But
these days
it makes
much
sense to Trump and those people in the White House,
It makes sense to the Koch brothers.
to the Koch brothers. They like that.
Of course, the thing is, the Koch brothers, interestingly, didn't support Trump.
And while you're on this subject of all these
This
people,
rant?
no, I mean all the people. What's going on with there's supposed to be breaking news. I heard about a big government panel discussing all these folks that you're naming, what to do about Afghanistan. It sounds like the generals want to send troops again after we pacified that place some years back. The Taliban and the rest of them, they gave them enough things so they would.
I don't know. I mean, is this the classic problem we've always had with the military, which is that officers can't get promotions if there's not wars going on?
Well, Trump is right in the middle of this. He put all these generals in these jobs.
He did, and the irony of that is it appears that the best people he appointed of all were the generals.
Yeah,
You know?
and a few admirals too. Wait a minute. What about that new aircraft carrier? The
The Gerald Ford.
Ford. Yeah, the Gerald Ford.
Gerald Ford.
But they're all.
I had totally forgotten that Gerald Ford was actually a Navy man.
That's right. And he was a football player too.
All-American, University of Michigan.
That's it.
Played in the era of
Without his helmet,
leather
probably
helmets.
he played up front.
Leather
yeah,
helmets.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what we always used to say about Endicott Chubb Peabody.
I know. I remember reading that
Played too
stories.
many games with a
And
leather
President,
helmet.
speaking of generals, President Macron, the French president,
The leader of the free world.
yeah, he had it out with the leading general, the top general in France, the guy.
The mini de Gaulle of
Yeah,
of
yeah, and he
2017.
Villiers or something, and he quit. He resigned, and Macron said, "Okay, we got another guy coming along who's pretty good.
We got
He'll
lots of
accept the cuts."
Yeah, we got lots of generals. We got
We got
lots
a
of generals.
lot of generals, but the generals are getting everything they want.
Well, this is very interesting considering that DJ went over to Paris and
Yeah.
met. He went on Bastille Day and he met with Macron, and you know how he made the big, embarrassing statements about how all the Native people weren't paying their fair share. It's very unfair to us. They're not paying what they should. You remember that, right? He went off on NATO that they weren't paying their thing.
Tore up everything.
They weren't spending enough on defense. So he goes over and he visits Macron, and the next week, Macron cuts the defense budget. Good job, Donnie. Good job.
McCain.
McCain, unfortunately,
McCain is too bad.
may lead to a very curious situation, which is both the United States senators in Arizona may be up for election in this November,
Yeah.
which
You think you get one for the Democrats could win one? I don't know.
there's a reasonable chance they could win both.
Yeah. Well,
Unfortunately, we're probably going to have a situation where Chris Christie, of all people, is going to appoint a new senator from New Jersey,
there's a great American.
because we have a Democratic sleazebag senator from New Jersey who's being tried now for corruption.
Yeah.
And hopefully, from a purely partisan political standpoint, hopefully he can drag this trial out long enough that that Christie will be replaced.
That
But in,
would-
but in all probability, he won't. Now, here's an interesting thing. In Arizona, by state law, the governor appoints a replacement for a vacancy, but he must be of the same party of the person who had it before.
Oh,
Which means if-
that's a good one.
If McCain had to resign, the governor would have to appoint a Republican. In New Jersey, no such law.
No such luck.
And I'm not sure whether that kind of law is a good idea or not, because the guy could have been in there 5 years and the state could have turned over quite a bit. And I'm not sure how much it helps you, because if you have a fundamentalist, right-wing, conservative ideologue in the governorship, even if he has to appoint a Democrat, you know, he'll find somebody like Steve Lynch or something.
Good
You know,
man,
what I
Steve
call
Lynch.
a Dino, a Democrat in name only.
Oh, like that Miller guy. Okay, I don't know what he is.
Miller?
Well, let me ask you the Trump family has too many secrets, it seems, and does that make them security risks with all these secrets that they keep coming out with?
Oh, because they could be blackmailed?
Yeah.
It's so funny because here was Captain Donnie going on television and asking
Yeah.
the Russians and other people to please leak Hillary's information.
Yeah.
And now he's apoplectic on the subject of leaks. These illegal leaks, why aren't they doing this? We're going to have to put an end to leaks. This is unfair. We're being attacked by leaks.
Comey was leaking.
Everybody leaking.
Everybody was
Everybody
leaking.
leaking.
Everybody was leaking. What do you think President Faust thinks about all this? She never says much about it.
What
Some
is all
president,
this? You
what?
mean- you
the
mean-
president of Harvard? She's leaving.
I know who Faust is. What are you talking about her thinking about what? About Trump?
What's going? Yeah,
About this administration and stuff?
Well, they're going to give him maybe they're going to give him a special degree next. The third degree. Maybe they'll.
Could I have a bar of soap, please?
They might do something. Yeah.
You know the old when you had to hold the bar of Lifebuoy in
Yeah,
your mouth.
yeah,
And, don't even say that. Of course, it would save me a lot of money if they gave an honorary degree to Donald Trump, because
We got to do.
I would never have to contribute to Harvard again.
Okay,
as long as I live.
after we come back from the play, Betsy Vos has
Betsy DeVos, another
she's
gem.
No, another deal. Okay.
Another gem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the Big TV Unrehearsed Thespian Society's production for tonight. Coming near the top of the deck in the vault. In fact, it even references our most recent president of the United States, and it is entitled Balanced.
Balanced.
I don't know if that refers to fair and balanced or exactly what, but it is entitled Balanced.
I was on a scale. That's what it was.
All right, it's yours, sir.
I'll be in court this week.
Oh, by that car accident?
Honest witness
Well, I volunteered my information.
to an officer at the scene.
It was just a fender bender.
No injuries.
True, there was minimal damage.
But you felt obligated.
Well, it was my civic duty.
Your boss obviously approved.
Not really. I'm losing a day's pay.
You were subpoenaed.
Splendid fellow.
My testimony may help the judge.
Justice is blind, old man.
You could have got out of it.
Yeah, if I'd been silent.
Now you're embroiled in this.
At least my purpose is meritable.
But the defendant attorneys may not agree.
Why not?
Why not?
That's
Favoritism.
what I said.
Possible bribery.
Now that's an ugly accusation.
One driver gave me his card.
Aha! Prima facie evidence.
Ridiculous.
Perhaps circumstantial?
A natural response on my part.
You're just asking for trouble.
Cut it out.
You realize cross-examination can get nasty.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, he thinks he's innocent.
Unfortunately, it could go either way.
Yeah? Well, you might get off with probation.
This is a civil case to assess the cost.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Still, it could go badly.
Well, I'm glad it's not me.
I'm having second thoughts, though.
Just say it's not all that clear in your mind.
Yes, I was mistaken.
Okay, that'll be fine.
Of course.
You could always appeal.
Party of the first part, huh?
No. This isn't a contract.
Groucho. Feeble attempt at humor.
Just say you misspoke.
Like Hillary after her Bosnian adventure.
And Barack wasn't there when Reverend Wright erupted.
Changed his story later.
Yeah, the media love these tales.
Then came Obama's speech on race.
Well, what if you just didn't appear?
His white grandma.
Contempt of court?
Warrant for his arrest.
Some help you are.
You are a key witness.
But you said there was nothing to it.
Well, ignorance of law is no excuse.
Ignorantia lexis non secundum est.
Sounds serious.
Well, Latin always sounds serious.
Lots of laws come from Latin.
Maybe you got that backwards.
No, not to worry.
Soon it'll be over.
Sure, any witness can disremember.
Is that your best advice?
Well, it's a ticklish situation.
Yeah, well, I'm not amused.
After all, you went to the cop.
Yeah, he didn't compel me.
I'll be under oath.
So just tell the truth.
That's simple enough.
Well, could be tricky.
Why? Why do you keep vacillating?
Well, you mean like switching positions?
You're very political, you know that.
Okay, look, hypothetically, it's night.
You look out the window.
I see a body on the pavement below.
Well, it might be.
It's 3 a.m.
Noise woke him up.
I didn't actually see what happened.
But you heard it.
It was a phone ringing.
You're nuts.
A man ran by outside.
Gender discrimination.
And while you were talking,
Who was the caller?
my dry cleaner apologizing.
Had misplaced your suit pants.
That seems like a familiar story.
He was formerly an astrologer.
You know, I'm a Capricorn.
I'm Irish.
I never knew that.
You would if your condo was being auctioned off.
What, you'll be homeless?
You could refuse to leave, you know.
Yeah, just become a squatter.
It's illegal.
Authorities might or might not evict you.
Might, yeah. Then your future, your possessions.
I was duly notified.
You'd be breaking the law.
Well, Dickens's Beetle described all this.
Quote, the law is a ass.
And I feel sick.
Probably you won't even get to court
I'll call in the morning.
and send an email.
Well, Governor Patrick is selling his new book.
He didn't write it yet.
Well, he's getting a lot of money.
He might need some help.
Why?
He's a pretty busy man.
You're right. He has a state budget, casinos, and campaigning for Barack.
He's a bright guy.
He's a good manager and has good staff.
Time for hope.
Change brings hope.
Hope can change
This sounds like an infomercial.
for a new pharmaceutical.
And a musical jingle.
Young people will like it.
I'm sorry now.
It's going to be a long, hot summer, baby.
Blackout.
Okay, right.
All right.
Okay. All right.
2008.
Okay.
2008.
All right. Now I was
All
gonna,
right. Now, what were you going to bring up about the estimable Betsy DeVos,
Betsy
who
DeVos.
simply wants to get rid of public education in the United States?
And now she's having a hearing about private schools and debt. It doesn't sound like she wants to give the kids that have big debts much help.
Oh, and she also wants to
Wants-
remove the restrictions on the government.
Sexual abuse,
No,
too.
no.
That's one of the things she's arguing about also.
All right, never mind.
All right, go ahead.
Nope.
What were you
Forget
going
it.
to say?
No,
Yes.
no, it's gone.
It's gone?
It's gone.
You sound like me. You must have dementia.
Oh, I remember it. I'm just not going to bring it up anymore.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. What about an infrastructure bill? You never say
Oh, well, that was one of his. That was one of his campaign promises, which seems to have not been as important as his wall or doing away with health care or things.
1.6 billion. The Congress says they'll go that far for the wall.
Yeah, they took it out of infrastructure. They transferred it out of other accounts.
Well, that's the way these things work.
And this is not what we were thinking about when we said infrastructure.
Oh, okay. Well, then
At
let's-
least I didn't think it was.
well, what about this bogus voter fraud commission? What about that?
Oh, the Voter Suppression Commission.
Ah,
Yes. And I mean, the thing is, the guy who he picked to chair it, his whole history is being an expert in voter suppression.
and he's got a president who says they cheated me. I should have got the popular vote.
And 40 some odd states have said, meh.
He doesn't like that, Mr. President
No,
Trump.
he doesn't. He doesn't.
Does not like that at all.
Chancellor Trump.
President attacks the state officials for resisting turning over all that information, private
Right,
information.
right. And you know what? The public applauds them.
That's right. Okay. Most people don't understand what's at stake in Congress's health care bill. They really don't. With all the budget cuts, the global warming, the voting troubles. And then they don't understand things like premiums, insurance, health exchanges, tax cuts, Medicaid, mass health, Governor
why-
Baker, the deductibles, very important, deductible
does it-
mandates. How the heck do all these people understand all this?
Why does it appeal to people that one of their big improvements of theoretically in the Trump Don't Care Act that they actually just put in about a week or 10 days ago was allowing insurance companies to sell you policies that don't cover anything. Because the premiums will be cheap because they don't have to pay for anything.
Those insurance companies can do it in every state, too.
Yeah, but why is this an improvement? I mean, one of the things about Obamacare was that you couldn't sell a policy that didn't give people basic coverage. And the Republicans are amending it, so now you can sell policies that in essence cover nothing.
Single payers?
You know those dental coverage policies
Yeah.
that somebody's tried to sell you sometime in the past, and it turns out you get 2 cleanings and 1 X-ray a year, and anything else is not covered.
Toothbrushes they give out now when you tell them.
Well, that's the kind of health insurance that they want to authorize. And I mean, is paying not as much money for something that's worthless a real savings over paying a little more money for something that actually helps? You're right. Nobody understands. And it remains my favorite quote from this orange jackass when he said, "Oh no, the healthcare was so complicated."
Okay, you got that right.
What a jerk.
Anyways, a lot of Russian. Oh, it's almost time. No, we're
No,
all
it's
right.
not quite,
There-
but-
a lot of Russians that live in this section of New York on the beach. What is that?
Brighton Beach.
Brighton Beach. They love President Trump. They think he's wonderful.
Well, they love Putin, right?
Well, they think Russia will be great again. Not as a communist country.
Why don't they go home then?
But Trump likes to hear these things from that crowd. So
You know what stuck in my mind so much from being in that neighborhood? You go in a restaurant, you go in a Russian restaurant in Brighton Beach and that whole area right around there,
sand in the sandwiches.
and you walk in, and on the table is a chilled bottle of vodka
Yeah,
sitting on every table.
good.
Whereas you would see maybe a carafe of water normally,
Yeah.
there's a cold bottle of vodka on the table.
Did you try any of that
What, the
in
vodka?
the restaurant? Yeah, the vodka.
I see no purpose in drinking vodka. Absolutely none.
I don't like it myself.
I mean, it's grain alcohol. I mean, what do you
Yeah.
want? Actually, it's meant to be potato alcohol.
Right.
But these days, it's mainly grain alcohol.
Oh.
My wife used to be a fan of vodka, and I decided to buy her real vodka, so I went and got her some good Polish potato vodka.
Oh.
She didn't like it. Anyway, very quickly, I want to quote here a right-wing conservative columnist of the Washington Post who has made a prognostication about what's going to happen with Trump. And it says, Republicans join Democrats in warning Trump not to fire Mueller. Mueller remains and keeps digging. He subpoenas damaging documents. Trump refuses to comply. Court orders him to comply. He declares it's a witch hunt or an attack on his family or whatever. Then he resigns, claiming he's already made America great. And he tells the country that Vice President Pence will carry on in his place.
Good. Very good.
Which gets him out, perhaps keeps him out of jail, but not necessarily.
Dolly's mustache was okay when they dug him up.
Really?
Yeah.
Had that much wax, huh?
I guess the guy who embalmed him
I
said
think
it's
he-
a miracle.
I think he got it directly from Madame Tussauds.
Oh.
Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. We'll see you in our dreams. Good night, Irene. Good night, everybody, from the Fun Show here at Big TV.
Yeah.
We expect to be back next week. We hope that Susan is with us. We hope that you will tune in.
Right.
And as I part, I report that I made a 3.5-hour drive each way to Thomaston, Maine, to talk about Henry Knox's wonderful wife, Lucy Fluker Knox, and I was very pleased to do it.
And Dunkirk is playing in all the theaters. It's a good
Dunkirk
movie.
is the big movie of the week, and
Yeah.
I'm a little afraid to see it because
a lot of-
I know what happened there, and I'm not sure I want to watch it.
Well, the golden retriever rescued a drowning fawn.
Yes, and when I looked at the thing, I think the master rescued the fawn, because if the master hadn't chased the dog off, I think it wasn't a rescue, it was dinner.
Dinner for that. You know, I hate.